Hi guys, welcome to another show of Verb on Battery, and for us as well. Now we'll add him on. So today's a kind of special show. We've had a few requests of people asking us to do something slightly different. So what we're going to do today is, well, not today, but over the course of the next 3 or 4 shows, we're going to try to make our ultimate test team from the year 2000s onwards. I know there's a lot of players that people want to see in that team, but to make it slightly easier to follow. We're going to start off with the openers today. And just to confirm, it's 2000, year 2000 plus. And it's not going to be based solely on stats because then even just a robot could pick the team. So again, we've narrowed it down to 8 players. That's Virendra Sehwag of India, Matthew Hayden of Australia, Justin Langer of Australia. Obviously, they had the combination opening partnership. Graham Smith of South Africa, Alistair Cook of England, David Warner of Australia, Andrew Strauss of England, and Chris Gale of the West Indies. So we narrowed it down to those options. I know some people will think there might be a few omissions that we missed out, but obviously we can't have everyone on
But
there.
just to add to that, these are actually Babaji, are players that have actually played most of, well, in fact, all their careers.
In the 2000 plus, yeah. So
there will be people 2000 and plus who've played the odd few innings, but have not played a large chunk.
And also,
the real reason why you might as well tell the viewers we're doing this show is because everyone says every time we did a show, England kept losing, and the fact that since Faraz has come onto this show, England ain't won a game. So what we're trying to do is
not talk about today's game as well.
We're not going to talk about England's game today, although they did lose. So what we'll say is we're going to carry on with this. That's the real reason. So we should be honest with our viewers.
No, but it's also we had some requests, but also just a quick one that these openers that we're picking, it does not mean they played all their games as an opener. They played primarily at least 95% of the games as openers. So people like Alistair Cook have played a few games at number 3 as well, and there's been a bit of chopping and changing, but most of their career as an opener. So we're going to start off with the Virendra Sehwag for us. Come to you first. So what do you think of him primarily? Just a quick stats wise, he got over 8,500 test runs, average of 49.34, 23 centuries, and with a guy that played at such a attacking manner of play and such a high risk game, an average of nearly 50 is pretty amazing. So what are your thoughts on him as a player?
Very attacking opener. He was, if you think about it, you kind of revolutionized test match opening. He was probably one of the first guys that did that in the noughties, because prior to the noughties, if you think about it, in the 90s, all of the openers were really just your traditional test openers, weren't they? Really, you had the likes of Michael Atherton, Gary Kirsten, people like that. They were just gritty openers, and obviously Virendra Sehwag was you could have probably put Virendra Sehwag and Sanath Jayasuriya in the same bracket. Obviously Jayasuriya is not in this list, but Sanath obviously didn't have a slightly better Sehwag had a better record than him, but both very, very good attacking openers. But obviously Sehwag makes the list because he's got, I think he had a decent technique, very strong on the offside, very strong, very offside dominant. The cut was one of his amazing strokes. Anything literally offside, any width whatsoever, and it used to go to the boundary pretty much.
I remember Inzamam saying that he had one of the fiercest cut shots as well that he's played against. So Badri, in terms of Sehwag, there's a few innings that stand out. Obviously, we got the famous
Multan trip. I could go on for days, Bobo, with this guy.
We know, but we'll have to keep it. But we'll narrow it down.
This guy for me is one of the main reasons why I love Test cricket. When he made his debut in South Africa in Bloemfontein, I think he scored 86 on his debut.
It was an infamous test. Sorry, the one that didn't count because if you remember, it's one of the games that was the India complained about I think the match referee, and it didn't go down as an official test match. It doesn't count in the record books.
I mean, this guy for me is strike rate in test matches. I mean, I remember that 300 he got against Multan, against Pakistan. in Multan. He's got 319. He's got 2 double centuries. He's got 293. This guy, I mean, he's got the most sixes for Indian Test matches. This guy's strike rate is 80 plus. This guy just, I mean, the records that this guy holds, he's got the, I think it's about 4th, 5th all-time for India scorer. He's one of the only very few to, I think it's probably very few to score 7,500 above runs in both formats. This guy was destructive. I mean, I remember some of his knocks, but this guy was, honestly, mate, he made Test cricket exciting.
Did you
This
exactly?
guy was destructive.
But obviously everyone remembers the Multan one because it was against Pakistan as well. I think it might have been the first Test triple centurion as well for India in that innings.
Well,
I don't know if you remember the 2008 innings against South Africa.
He's the only Indian. I might be wrong now. I'm sure he's the only one up to date now.
Yeah. But that was just a brilliant player. It's a pure match winner, as you guys both have said. His strike rate is kind of could take the game away very quickly, and to average that so consistent is a brilliant batsman. So for us, the next player we're coming on to, obviously, is very well known, Matthew Hayden. So again, he had a brilliant career. I hadn't heard too much of him in terms of growing up, but that I don't know if you remember the famous 2001 series between India and Australia, where he's pretty much the only batsman that actually not just survived against Indian spinners, but took them apart, especially with the sweep shot. So what do you make of him as an opener as well, generally, his all-round game?
Well, we all know what Hayden had. He was just a very big, he's the kind of guy that was very, very in your face, dominant. With his, obviously, he was a massive guy as well, big guy, liked to basically stick his chest out and, basically come on. He wasn't scared. He wasn't fazed by anything. Very, very good, very, very good cricketer, mentally as well. And I think, like you said, he played spin very well, which for Australians, it's a good thing. I mean, there's not many players of good spin in Australia. Let's be honest. There's only been a couple. Let's be honest. Ponting,
Ponting struggled for a long time as well, early in his
Ponting
career.
struggled as well. So you've got, like I said, with his height and everything, his sweep shots obviously came in handy there. But like I said, a very, very good all-round opener.
He was like a bully, wasn't he? He was a bully. He just came at the bowlers.
He was a bully, but he bullied good bowlers.
Yeah, he did.
That's the difference.
So just to confirm, his average over 50 in Test cricket and with 30 centuries. And at one stage, he had the highest score in Test cricket at 380 against Zimbabwe, which obviously Lara broke a couple of years later. So, Bertie, what are your thoughts on Matthew Hayden? Obviously, as a player, but also his
I think Shraza pretty much nailed it in one, to be honest with you. This guy was, his physical presence, and his just dominance. When he used to walk out on day one of a Test match, you had to get him out early, because if he stood there and he complimented pretty much a lot of time in his career, Justin Langer and the other openers that he did. It was just, this guy was, he used to just attack from ball one, in a different style, but, he against pace. And in Australia, you have to realize in that era that he played in as well, there were some very good fast bowlers. So, fast bowlers always used to get assists in Australia, and he used to just take them to the cleaners. This guy he was up there. Like you said, he had that record for a long time, of that big triple century. And then Lara obviously went on to break it.
Battery, just to barge in there, sorry to disturb you. The only opener I know where, good bowlers, he used to run down at them.
Yeah, I remember. Obviously,
he was running down at people like Shoaib Akhtar. These guys, he wasn't phased at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's been many times. I mean, not many bowlers, I know Shoaib's bowled some lethal spells, and there's been times where Shoaib's probably got the better of him. But there's been a lot of times where I've seen him dominate Shoaib, and dominating Shoaib is not easy. And he was playing Shoaib at his peak, and I'm talking sort of 90 miles per hour plus every ball. 90. And there was a couple of spells where Shoaib, even in Test matches, Shoaib bowled, and the guy was quality.
Thank you, sir. As I said, he pretty much summed up Australia's mentality in that time as well. The kind of very bold, very aggressive mentality where they were like, "You're not pretty much good enough to play against us, to be on the same field as us." And he kind of epitomized that kind of mentality. So, Bertie, you did mention him. He moves nicely onto his partner, Justin Langer, who's pretty much a different type of player, more nuggety, even though he did become more aggressive later on. But he wasn't one that you kind of, you got to get me out. I'm not going to throw my wicket away, and kind of put everything on the line in his body and everything. He
I always
averaged,
describe him, Bobo. I always
Yeah.
describe him as one of my favorite all-time cricketers. Yeah,
Yeah.
and is Steve Waugh, and I always used to see him like a Steve Waugh mold type player,
comparison,
but
yeah.
as an opener. You
Yeah,
understand? He was a very gritty, determined player, and he was just very street smart, shrewd. but he
Basically,
knew
just over my dead body,
he
really.
knew his limitations. He knew his
Yeah.
limitations, and he was a perfect sort of partner for Hayden. Yeah, and like I said, he was just gritty, and he reminded me so much of Steve Waugh, but as an opener, basically, someone who valued his wicket, someone who didn't throw it away. And when if the team was in trouble, he'd just knuckle down, he'd phase out, he'd zone out, he'd just carry on with it. Nothing would phase him. He'd be one man that one of those Australians, like I said at the thingy, to see off the new ball. And he's faced so many fiery spells that I've seen. Yeah, he again, someone who's a different role, but a Steve Waugh role for me.
yeah. So even just as I said that when he came into the team, primarily after 2001, there was a lot of pressure on him because he replaced Slater, who's like pretty much a fan favorite of with the team, because obviously his expressive batting style, and obviously he was under a lot of pressure, and he did really well to kind of cement his spot in the team and made life a lot easier for the likes of Ricky Ponting, who were coming in after him at number 3. But big one again for him, he was one of the few batsmen in the 2005 Ashes that did actually stand up to the England quartet and did actually play some very, very important innings. And if it wasn't for him, I think the scoreline, obviously him and along with Shane Warne, could have been even more one-sided.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to, obviously I might be a bit biased here, but we're going on to Graham Smith. You both of you know what a big fan I am of him. But the biggest thing that comes to my mind for him is in terms of became a captain at a very young age, 22 years old, and that tour to England 2003 where he scored 2 double centuries. So Farazia, in terms of, we're not just going to talk about his captaincy, but that's just there for everyone to see. But as a batsman only, what do you think were his biggest strengths?
Stats wise, he's up there, definitely.
Over 9,000, yeah.
Couple of innings come to mind. I mean, when Nasser Hussain dropped him on about single figures, and he went on to get that massive score in was it Lords?
Yeah, Lords, yeah.
That inning stands out because I saw all of that innings and it was just torturous. And like you said again, the quality of a captain, performing that consistently with all the pressure, and performing from the front is a great achievement. I don't care what you say. He wasn't the most pleasing on the eye, to be fair, with Graham Smith. Very leg side dominant.
Yeah.
I remember Matthew Hoggard actually having the better of him for quite a long time.
Yeah, and the away series as well. The 2004 series away in South Africa, he got LBW a lot of times.
Matthew Hoggard had him quite a few times, but regardless, a great player.
And 27 centuries battery, would have come to you for Graham Smith, yeah? That he actually, in the 4th innings of the game of Test match, he averaged 51.57 with 4 centuries, which is pretty much ridiculous.
I was just going to say that this guy in second innings was a match winner on his own.
Yeah.
But this guy, to be honest with you, coming from where he comes from, the system that he has to come through to play cricket, being selected for South Africa, we all know about the quota system, yeah? Having captaincy at a young age, yeah, in a team full of experienced players, then to last 12 years in international cricket in South Africa is no joke.
Yeah.
Then, like I said, this guy is the 3rd all-time highest run getter as an opener. Cook's first, Sonny Gavaskar. So the 2nd highest in modern day that we've seen, yeah? And this guy, like I said, one thing that stands out to me and sums this guy up is when he came to bat in that innings with a broken hand.
Oh, yeah, and Australia at the final Test match at Sydney, yeah, 2008.
And this guy, that sums up this guy's sort of, never die attitude, that Springboks mentality, that if I go down, I'll go down fighting type, yeah. And he led from the front. Yeah. He led from the front, and he was again, up there as one of my favorite modern day openers.
Yeah, and it was a nice, obviously in 2012 where South Africa beat England at Lords to win the series and become the #1 Test team. I thought that was quite nice for him to have the full circle from 2003 coming back to England 9 years later after winning ever around the world and becoming #1. That was like a nice little symmetry for him. So the next player we've got to start with for us, it's Alistair. Oh no, sorry, Sir Alistair Cook. Sir Alistair Cook. I mean, this guy is one of those like, he's amazing. He's one of those that not very prevalent on social media, hasn't got an ego, never says too much, but to have 278 innings is unbelievable. Over nearly 12,000 test runs, average of 44.87, opening the bat in England, which is obviously we all know is very difficult. 31 centuries. They're just the numbers for us. But him as a player, as a person, man, what can he say? Or have we not got the words to kind of talk about him?
Look, in my view, my eyes, people might disagree. England's
we're running out of time, mate. Sorry, can we move on to the next person?
I'm going to be short and sweet with Alistair Cook because I'm literally speechless with this guy's performances. This guy, you might disagree. Some people might disagree. KP as the best batsman for England. No way. I'm sorry to say. Alistair Cook is the greatest England batsman ever. Full stop.
Big comment for us. It's a big comment, but you can't say much more than that. It's a battery. On Alistair Cook, yeah, we know it's pretty.
I'm cooking, Bobo.
To
be honest with you, I'll be honest with you. I love my Test cricket. Yeah. At first, I never used to like him because he used to sort of annoy me watching him. I used to watch cricket and I used to say, when this guy England win the toss, turn it off, come back on his out. But you don't actually appreciate what the guy's done until he's gone. And there are certain players that you will never appreciate them once sort of they're gone. And this guy, in terms of character, was very within himself, never had anything, just very quiet, went on with it. And before you know it, by the end of the first session, this guy be touching like towards 50. And you knew if this guy sort of stayed, if he stayed at the crease for the first day, he's scoring big. And once
the guy was a machine.
No, but
whenever he was doubted,
the thing is, look, like you said at the beginning, we're not going off statistics because if it's just statistics on its own, he is the all-time leading run scorer in Test cricket as an opener. That is, So that says it all. But just to add to that, this guy, for us, the statement that he made as all-time England sort of player is a big statement. But you can't argue with it because the guy was a good Test match opener.
But as I said, it's quite typical for, not obviously to be as good as Cook, but for English batsmen to be able to play the seaming ball, play the pace. But for him, I just got it written down, in Asia, he averaged 51.46 against India, 48.33 against Sri Lanka, and 55.36 against Pakistan and UAE. Now, for the English opener to have so much versatility, and he played against some top quality spinners, include Ajmal, Muralidharan, Harbhajan, Kumble. He actually got a century on debut in Nagpur. That just shows what a great player he was in terms of his versatile. He could adjust his game. He kind of gave everything every time put an England shirt on. And as far as I say, and better you guys, well, he is one of the.
What you have to realize as well, if you look at it, a lot of people say playing in England, for him was actually the most hardest thing because he was playing against the swinging and seaming ball. So he had the worst of it, and he was playing against at that era where pretty much everyone had 1-2 world-class bowlers as well. So for him to get those runs says a lot about him. So no doubt, top.
So this is almost the only guy that's playing Test cricket at the moment. Test cricket anyway. We've got Gale later on, but obviously I doubt he's going to play Test cricket again. So David Warner, again, he's a man that divides opinion. But as a batsman alone, he's played 86 Test matches now. He's got 24 centuries, averages 48.81. And again, the way he plays, that's a very impressive average. Strike rate of 72, which is again, it pushes the game forwards for Australia. So if not going to talk about his personality, but as a batsman alone, Battery, what do you think his biggest strengths are? Or what he brings to a team?
I still remember when he made his debut, but I don't know if you can remember 2009. He made his debut in Test in 2011, but he come onto the scene around 2009. Can you remember the T20 World Cup?
I guess,
to watch it in Sri Lanka at Trent Bridge. I mean, you went when...
and
he played that match. And I remember watching it carefully then. They didn't do that well. They sort of capitulated. That was the Ashes series they had after, didn't they? Can you remember? And they got knocked out early.
But I don't think he played in the Ashes, by the way,
He
2009.
played no, he didn't play in the Ashes
Yeah.
till he come 2011. I'm just trying to get him. He was sort of in and around the squad then. Those names talked about him, but he never made the squad then, in 2009. But I've seen him grow. Look, he's like a modern day Sehwag
Yeah.
as a left-handed version.
Oh,
if
that's
there's a
what I was
comparison.
gonna. That's what I was gonna pick up on. Yeah.
That to me, he's had some very good spells. Recently, he's been out of touch. Yeah, he's not had the best of spells. Yeah, but
Stuart
he's one of the-
Broad's got him in his pocket. at the
Yeah, I
moment.
was going to say for us, in England, he only averages 26.04, which is mainly down to
Yeah.
Stuart Broad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a good look. He is very good. You know, he's up there. He's got some. How many centuries has he got? I don't know. his
He's got
stats off by heart.
24 centuries,
Yeah. So
84
he's averaging
Test
what?
matches.
40 something. What's the
Pardon?
average?
48.81. So he's averaging pretty much gets a test. He gets a century pretty much once every 3.5, 4 test matches, which is really
What's his career average?
48.81.
Yeah, so come on.
Yeah.
Look, no matter how ups and downs, that average speaks for itself. Anything over 45, you're touching. That's
Well,
quality.
we're obviously not going into the details of these stats. Stats don't prove everything.
No, of
No,
course.
no, we know. We're not saying we know he's got weaknesses against the
For me-
seaming ball.
For me, like
No,
I
what
said
I'm
to you,
saying is, what I'm saying is, you guys, that we haven't actually researched on what these guys have performed against the bigger nations
but what
No,
and the smaller nations, I guess. So
Yeah.
Raz, what you have to realize as well, in this current, what you have to realize, look, these guys that we're talking about now, Bob was talking about, we're talking for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
This guy is in the crop that's the only currently one playing. There's actually not many good quality openers that are playing or that last that long.
Agreed.
There's not many at all. I mean, look at this. I'll give you a prime example. We all follow Pakistan. How many Pakistani openers are on that list? None at all.
None
How
would
many
be
top-
close. Yeah.
I mean, for me at the moment, I don't know if you guys agree or not. Dean Elgar is probably the best opener for me.
Dean Elgar, yeah. Tom Latham's very good.
Latham's good.
Yeah. There's not
Elgar,
many going
Latham.
around.
There's not many.
It's
So
hard
to
the
think.
thing is, the reason for that is as well, it's the new generation, the new guys. They've not had enough
T20
caps.
era, yeah.
But
White ball
generally,
cricket.
generally, Warner, like I said, he's the only one still playing in that list. But yeah,
And plays
look,
all 3 formats and dominates. So it shows again the versatility
yeah,
to
so he's
adapt his
still got
game.
a certain level. But yeah,
So for Azia, again, I'll come to you, Andrew Strauss. Again,
Oh,
he
was
played,
Strauss in the list as well?
we
Oh, I
got
didn't
Strauss.
realise.
We got Strauss on the list because of his longevity and also because of how he kind of his captaincy and as his partnership with Alistair Cook gelled the team and got them to the #1 test team in the world. So he played bang on 100 tests. Obviously retired in 2012 after a Lord's test match and I think they lost that game as well and lost so 6,000 over 6,500 test runs. Average is slightly lower, but 40, just over 40, but 20 centuries. Now, as a player, we know he opened the batting a lot with Alistair Cook and was slightly a bit more positive, a bit more aggressive than Alistair Cook. But what do you think of him as again? Not for him. I think you have to discuss him as a package. So as a captain and an opening batsman.
A very good captain, but he did have a very, very good team to captain, I guess. But he's an unsung hero for me. Maybe slightly underrated. I think personally, he was a very good batsman. I mean, on his debut, I think did he get hundreds on both innings, was it, or was he run out?
No, I know he got 100, 200 against Chennai in that famous test they lost when Tendulkar got the century.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He debuted against New Zealand. I
Oh yeah,
think.
2004. Nasser Hussain ran him out second innings. Yeah, he got 100.
I think he probably would have got 200s in both innings, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was a very, very good opener technically very sound. But like I said, he's an unsung hero. He goes unnoticed.
And the fact that he's, as Battery said earlier on, he's one of those that you notice more after he left the team. And England, to be honest, since that time, it's nearly 10 years now, have not had a solid opening partnership.
Right.
And there's no coincidence they've struggled to have consistency in the test team since then. So Battery, the last one on the list is Chris Gale. Like your recommendation, we've got to be fair play. It's easy to pigeonhole him as a white ball cricketer, but the man's played over 100 test matches, over 7,000 runs, an average of 43. So apart from the belligerence, he shows that he had another side to his game as well. So, what do you think of him? What made you want to put him in this list first of all?
What made me want to put him in? Because what you got to realize is the sort of turbulent sort of up and down West Indian cricket board that these guys have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. The
Yeah.
team that sort of in his latter end of his career, the legends have all left. They had hardly any decent. They had some good Test match cricketers over the years, you know. But when he sort of played his, I mean, what's his career started in 2000 and what?
He would have started very early in 2000, probably 2000,
He made his debut
2001.
against England. He made his debut against England, I think it was.
I know he played in that 2001
played-
series,
he-
didn't he?
Look,
A few
he's
games.
played from 2000. He's played from 2000 to 2014. Yeah,
Yeah.
14 years he's played on and off, maybe for, but still.
No, I
that's
remember,
enough
after
time.
yeah.
I remember him smacking Matthew Hogarth for 6 fours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was at the
This
Oval, I
guy-
think, 2004. Yeah,
This guy's one of those that never curbed his natural instinct, even in
Yeah.
Test matches. And he was a bludgeoner again, sort of an ilk of Gale, and you know, from the same cloth as sort of Sehwag and you know, Sehwag like a proper bludgeoner, but just in his typical Caribbean laid-back attitude in Test matches. You know,
Yeah,
the dreads.
Chris
tall,
Gale's a
giant
funny one.
Monday, you know.
Chris Gale's a funny one actually, because when he wanted to perform and play a long innings, when he put his mind to it, the guy could do it.
and
You
he
know,
could block as well. You know, he could defend. He could, if he wanted to hang around at the crease, he could.
You know, I was just wondering, with obviously the stats there, if he actually thought about his game a bit, just for a second, he probably could have been one of the greats.
I
You know,
think if
in
the
Test match
question
cricket.
was who was the most talented Test opener, then maybe he might be winning hands down with Virender Sehwag. But that's not.
I mean, the guy's
all
got
about
a triple century. The
performance.
guy's got
To
a
be
triple
honest with you,
century
you know,
against South
because what you got to realize in the modern era that we're talking about 2000s, where, you know, we realistically started watching cricket and started understanding.
Yeah,
He's in the top 10 all-time openers for the last 20 years.
yeah,
Has to be. Has
and
to
it's a
be.
good
I
effort.
say top 7, top 8.
He's there.
And
We've
I
got him
will-
in our top 8,
the
haven't we?
reason why I like Gale,
2000.
look, the reason why I like Gale, scoring runs with a good team is a lot easier. So let's not just go on statistics. The pressure,
course,
you have to understand that. Look, when you're playing in a team with not many, and this is why it's a debate for another day. You know, people always say to me, Lara and a few others. I always used to rate highly Lara as one of those batsmen. Why? Because he used to do it when
Yeah,
he didn't have
but
many
we've got a
people
show. We
around
got when we come to our middle order. I'm sure you can talk about Lara as much as you want.
him.
So
But the reason why, the reason why I'm saying that is what you have to take into, you have to give a bit of context.
I know.
as
Yeah,
well.
that's
Chris
what we
Gale,
done.
Everyone sees him. Everyone
I
sees him.
still have nightmares about Laura, by the way.
Yeah, but we'll come on to that. We don't want you to waste your
No, no,
comments
but-
on Lara.
Just want to quickly on Gale. It's almost like an analogy. I always sort of as compare him to someone like Ronnie O'Sullivan in snooker, where a lot of people just see Ronnie's fast game, bang, 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 potting ability, century. But what they don't see is the other side of Ronnie, you know, and that's with Chris Gale. I think it's a bit unfair. He gets criticized. People, like Bobo said, pigeonhole him as his T20, you know, or one day. If you look at his Test record, just forget everything else.
Even
So
just
many
over
look at
100
his
Test
record.
matches. 100
Look,
Test matches, a lot for West Indies.
Test matches for a guy of his physical thingy ability, you think, no, how's he done that? And
Yeah.
then to play in a team that's not been that good over the years, and then to put the numbers that he has, I think he deserves a lot more respect than
Yeah.
what people actually give him.
So thank you guys for obviously we discussed it's like the Oscars feel like the nominations, but now that we have to pick our first one. So I'm going to come to you first, Farazia. Out of the list, who are you picking as the first opener?
Look, I'm going to sound a bit biased here now.
Oh, here we
Okay.
go. We're going.
Is it Strass and Cook?
Okay, I'm not purely going on stats, because
Yeah.
obviously he's statistically the best,
Yeah.
as in runs wise. For me, Alistair Cook has the complete package. He can block,
Yeah.
he can score. He's a machine when it comes to run scoring. He'll score you runs at crucial times.
Yeah.
You know, he's not just a first inning scorer. He'll score you runs. He'll win you matches. Okay, and he'll grind it out. And
Well-
that's all the qualities you want in an opener.
They are all the qualities, but do you think that he lacks that kind of ability to take the match away from the opposition in a session or two that some of the others have? That he's got that kind of that pace he can score. Obviously, I'm not taking away from him, but do you reckon he lacks that? He lacks the X factor to win a game by himself that some of the others have.
You see, when you say he's got the X factor for me is in his grittiness and the ability to score runs at crucial points. Doesn't matter how quickly you score it,
course,
you've got to
yeah.
get the runs on the board.
Yeah, in difficult
As I've
conditions.
sent a text message, someone said, "Can you take your England hat off, please, for a second?"
It's actually a Lacoste hat, not an English
Yeah,
hat.
but you know what he's trying to say. So battery, we got Alistair Cook, yeah. We'll come on to obviously that in a bit. So who's
I'm
your?
going to get one or two, Bobo.
You get
as a
one. You
partner.
get one, but both of you have to pick one each, and then we'll try to come to a solution in the end of it. So what you got? One gap left now, battery.
I'll be
Cook.
honest with you, I've got a toss up. Who's he gone for? Cook, yeah.
Alistair Cook,
So
yeah.
I've always believed in a lefty and a righty combination. My two, I'm just saying.
No,
and
you're
I'll
saying
narrow it
one,
down.
battery. I'm sorry, battery. You got to say one.
No. I'll give you one.
We don't
I'm
want
just
two.
trying to.
Okay, give us one. Go on.
Well, my two, and then I'm going to give you one.
Oh,
My two is one is the left-hander Graham Smith, and
Yep.
the other one is Virender Sehwag. Yeah, the fact that if he's going for Alistair Cook, I want someone to complement him. Yeah, and someone to have the match-winning ability to take a game away from
okay.
someone in the
So
first place.
battery.
For me, it's Virender Sehwag.
You're saying Virender Sehwag, no doubt a great player, but just a quick one for you. Obviously, we're picking openers that have to be able to perform in all conditions around the world. Now, Virender Sehwag against South Africa. Now, again,
Sorry, go
against South Africa away, he averages 25.47. Against England
Yeah.
away, he averages 27.80.
I was
Against
gonna
New
touch upon
Zealand
that.
away, he averages 20. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, we know all those three countries have the
I'll
ball
even
where the
add to
seams
that. I'll
around.
even add to that. Virender Sehwag is one of the very few openers yet. Well, and it's not a good start. I'll even be honest with you. This is why sometimes he's actually got the biggest difference between the first and second innings. His average drops considerably in second innings. If it's somewhere, look, obviously, all
No, we've got basically
conditions.
all round. Basically, as we said, we got 10 test matches to play in a year. We're picking this team. Across the 10 test matches, we're going to play Australia, South Africa, Asia, West Indies,
Then,
everywhere.
like I said to you, it's very close. Then I'm going to go Graham Smith. I'll go Graham
Good
Smith.
Okay,
choice.
so
Good
Graham
choice.
Smith. So
Graham Smith, them two were my opening dream partnership all over. But if it was one, I'll go Graham Smith.
as I said as well, I think I mentioned it. Obviously, he also played spin very well. I know he dominated Graham Swan. He did well against he did well against India as well and Pakistan in the UAE. So all-round game. So there we have it. It was a very difficult choice. There's some great not just openers, but just batsmen, and not even just of the plus 2000 era, maybe all-time players. So we have it. We have Sir Alistair Cook and Graham Smith as the two openers. In the next show, we'll be going for
I
batsmen.
tell you what, Bobo, quickly, have you noticed how all on that list, majority of them were left-handers?
Yeah.
Yes, I was going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the one
And I tell you-
right-hander, the only right-hander looks like, I'm going through the list, is what's Sehwag?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's mad, isn't it?
I told you guys, left-handers are the best. So there you go. Alistair Cook, Graham Smith. On the next show, we'll be doing, it's going to get very heated, potentially, but it's going to be number 3, 4, and 5. Then after that, we will pick the all-rounder and the wicketkeeper, and then we will end with the show on the bowlers. So if you've got any, I'm sure people will have their own opinions and comments on the two openers that we've selected. So leave comments on, obviously, on this video on Facebook, YouTube, like and follow us. If you've got any questions or any kind of suggestions, please let us know. So thank you, Battery, and Faraz, for joining us. You showed the passion that you always do. And yeah, we'll be back
It's like I've won the World Cup again.
well,
I thought you were saying you
times
won
must be
another
bad.
toss.
But
I thought you were going to say you won another toss today. Congratulations.
we did. We are going to review that one-day series and the tour overall after the third one day. Yeah. So thank you guys.
Forget about it.
Stay. Yeah. Thank you for joining us again, watching the video, and thank you, and see you soon.
See you.